Welcome to Entertainment Drive-Thru. Today's special is Brian Hacksaw Williams, rocker and teacher.
Quiet on the set.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to
Hello, welcome to Entertainment Drive-Thru. I'm Anna. With me is my co-host Dan. Today's guest is known for bands like Damn Hippie Freaks, Delta Note with former Megadeth drummer Nick Menza. His voice has appeared on the 2012 Golden Globes History Channel Sons of Anarchy, and he's currently working on a book and DVD called Extreme Vocals, due around next Christmas. See full list on our website, entertainmentdrivethru.com. He teaches Art of Success and Extreme Vocals classes at Musicians Institute in Hollywood. Joining us via Skype is the one, the only, Brian Hacksaw Williams.
Yay!
Welcome to the show.
Hi, Anna. Hi, Dan.
Hey,
How you guys doing?
welcome.
Good to hear your voices again.
Yeah, it's good to hear you too. So first of all, what's the story behind the name Hacksaw? Where did you get that? Where did it come from?
There's too many Brian Williams in show business, which is my real name, you know.
Right.
I made a joke a long time ago. I was in a band called BoJack, and we were being interviewed. The woman asked me my name, and I said Brian Williams, and she said, "Oh, like the news guy." And there used to be two guys named Lee Hamilton, and one was a senator. And then I was listening to a sports radio out here, and there's a guy named Lee Hamilton, but he was known as Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, right? Because so he had to have some sort of way of making a difference. And I guess I had that in my mind. So when she said, you know, what's your name? And I said Brian Williams, and she said, "Oh, like the newsman." I said, No, I'm Brian Hacksaw Williams. And it just stuck. And in fact, at the same time, my drummer said, "Yeah, Rock's middle linebacker." That is on my business cards to this day. Rock's middle linebacker, Brian Hacksaw Williams.
That
Nice.
explains it. I think I was reading a bio somewhere on you, and it said that, and I was like, what?
See, I was hoping there was some kind of story behind like a show you did where you had a hacksaw on stage and just something went wrong.
No. It has more to do with my football player-like build. Yes, I started using it at MI, and it just caught on there.
Yeah, because I know people that that have gone to MI, and they'll say, "So who did you have at MI?" Wanting to know if their teachers are still there. Yeah. And I say, "Oh, well, I had Brian Williams. For some reason I said that instead of Hacksaw." And they go, "Who?" And I said, "Oh, Hacksaw. Oh, yeah, that guy. Yeah, he's still there."
Yeah. No, I had a very similar thing. I had a guy that actually used to play in that band in BoJack. Was moved back to Los Angeles after living in Texas for 10 years, and he knew that I taught at MI, and he
Don't worry, we know how confusing it is to say it.
Yeah. No, I was a musician.
I always say it wrong. That's what I said.
Too many Z's in there, I think. No, but he had the same thing. He's like, I was wondering if Brian Williams is around, and they're like, who? He's like, well, I think he's been teaching here for about 15 years, and finally he said Hacksaw, and they're like, oh yeah, sure, no problem.
That's funny. It doesn't have to be the students. The teachers know you by that now too.
Oh, everybody does. Yeah,
it's the nickname. It's the nickname.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Now, we wanted to know how you got started, and also in terms of when you decided you wanted, being a musician was what you wanted to be. It wasn't going to be being a Chippendales dancer. It was going to be being a musician.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the thing about being a Chippendales dancer, I realized that I have a mind too. Two stories, I think, probably. I think the first time I ever played in front of a crowd, it was the junior high talent show.
Okay.
Aww.
And I played drums. I played drums and sang with two of my friends, bass player and guitar player.
Wait, hold on. You said you played drums and sang. They do both?
Oh, yes. Yes, yeah. No, there's another funny story too. I used to play drums and sing, but I was such a terrible drummer that eventually the band had a meeting with me that began with this phrase: "You're a really good singer."
Oh boy.
Yeah, that was the end. But anyway, so we played the junior high talent show, and it was in the gymnasium, of course, which is all wood, all hard surfaces, and the girls screamed so loud that it made that kind of sound in my ears, and I was just like, man, this is absolutely the coolest thing ever.
Right.
So I continued to play. When it got towards the end of my high school career, I was like Johnny High School. I was class president and National Honor Society president and student council president. I was way into.
Hang on,
Man,
big shot over here.
Yeah, I was.
Sorry, go
way into
Brian.
politics and those kind of things, and would have gone off. I was accepted to Yale.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
And was going to go there and end up being a lawyer and try to work in government, be a senator, or work for government, work for people like that. And at the same time, the summer before my senior year, I was playing at a club called Dummies. By law, all the bars in Illinois were supposed to close by 2.
Okay.
And this place just stayed open long enough to get busted the requisite amount of times to be shut down.
Oh, jeez.
Because we would start at 1 a.m. and play until 5 a.m.
Wow.
Wow.
And at 1 a.m, there'd be nobody there. But at 2:30, all the legal bars had closed. It would be packed with roaring drunk people.
Oh my God, I can
man.
imagine.
Yeah,
And
and
that must have been fun.
Yeah.
Oh, it was unbelievable. And it was quite a summer because I would play till 5, and then I was working the breakfast shift at McDonald's. So I would get done at 5, put on my blue polyester outfit, and work breakfast from 6 a.m. till about 1 p.m., go home, go to bed, get up around 9 and shower, and go to the club around 11 or midnight.
Wow.
You know, I could picture you being that McDonald's employee that's working the drive-thru just with metal playing in the background.
Oh, yeah.
What do you want?
No, it was in the kitchen while I was making, 12 sausage McMuffins at a time.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of grease.
Right.
But anyway, so I'm playing Dummies, and it was last song, last set. So it's got to be about 4:30 in the morning, and everybody's completely loaded. And we were doing a song called Metal Health. If you remember that song by Quiet Riot, it's very 80s metal kind of tune.
Okay.
And the chorus goes, bang your head, metal health will drive you mad.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know
Bang
that.
your head, right? And that's the last song, last set. We're singing that song, and as I'm singing that song,
Right.
2 biker girls get into a fight.
No.
And one is banging the other one's head on the floor
No.
as
Just
I'm
like the
singing "Bang Your Head."
song. That's hilarious.
That's epic.
And I just thought to myself, "Oh my God, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life."
So it took 2 drunk biker chicks beating the crap out of each other to make you realize you wanted to be a musician.
No, but at the same time, he's singing "Bang Your Head." It has to be the
Yeah,
same.
it was also so surreal. It was like a sign from God.
Right.
Aw.
I at that same summer, I went off to a thing called Boys State. It's a statewide government camp for people that are interested in politics. And I went down there, and I was wildly successful. I ran for these offices, and nobody knew me, but I was good at making friends because I moved around a lot when I was younger. And every 3 years, I had to make new friends. And I had gone there, and it was great. But I mean, I think when I contrasted the two, I realized that in music, I can go on stage and be not necessarily someone that I'm not, but be an exaggerated version of myself.
Right.
And then I can get off stage and be myself. And then I realized that with politics, it never ends. You spend the whole time being someone that you're not, or something that you would like to be, or someone that you wish that you were.
Someone you don't want to be.
Yeah.
I think you never take off that hat. Like, you play that hat all the time. You don't take it off. Or like, you can be at the grocery store, and they still, like, they know who you are and they know what you represent.
Right.
Yeah, and it's a hat that you never take off. And then the summer after my senior year, I interned in Washington, D.C. for a congressman. I got to work in the Capitol, and that's when I really saw it, because I saw John, the guy that I worked for, a congressman from Illinois, and that was his life. I mean, the times that he did get to be himself, he was a great guy, but he had very little time to do that, because especially in the House of Representatives, there's an election every 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So you're spending your time raising money the whole time.
Right.
Yeah.
So you do committee meetings by day and fundraisers by night, and his days are 12 to 16 hours.
Damn.
Yeah.
And it's just all this big show. You just got to be on. You're doing your show all the time.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break to listen to a clip from Brian Hacksaw Williams singing This Life from Sons of Anarchy.
This life is short, baby, that's a fact. Better live
So I moved to Los Angeles in August of '85. I got out of high school in June, and my family immediately moved from that town. Now I was the youngest, so by then it was just my parents.
Okay.
And my dad was an executive for DuPont, a company whose slogan used to be "Better living through chemicals" until the '60s came along.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and
That's interesting.
yeah, you can see why they want to change that. And so they moved away from my hometown, and I went and interned for the congressman, and then I drove across the country with my mother for 5 days. You can imagine what a treat that was.
Oh, that must have been
Nice.
fantastic.
Yeah, the whole time, because, I told you I was accepted at Yale, and instead I decided I wanted to go out to Los Angeles. And of course, on the whole drive, my mother went through a list of everyone she knew that didn't go to college, whose lives turned out to
I just realized your story basically shows what I was actually making a joke of right before I went to the first college I went to. I was talking about how funny would it be if I got accepted to Yale or Harvard and dropped out to go to a music school.
Hey, you were talking about Hacksaw.
And you actually did that.
Yes, I did. Well, I got accepted and didn't go, but close enough, yeah. I came out to Los Angeles. I talk about my 20-year on-again, off-again college career because I went to Santa Monica College for 2 years, which I would always tell people, too. I mean, now that I've done it, you're better off going to a junior college and get all the GE stuff out of the way. Mm-hmm. A lot of kids don't know what they really want to do when they're 18.
Very true.
Oh, very, very true.
And you're better off going and doing all the GE stuff, which is what I did. And then I did that, and then I transferred to UCLA. And then I dropped out, tended bar for 10 years and went back and finished. And but yeah, I ended up getting my degree there. So yeah, but I moved out there in August of '85.
Oh, okay.
With my high school band, and our name was, this is again so 80s, so metal. The band's name was Devastation Run.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. That actually sounds like you just ate Taco Bell and you've got the devastation runs.
Oh, it was devastating. Sure, it clearly was.
So you moved out here, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but you said you moved out here for going to school, and Was it to go to MI or was it to go to UCLA?
Oh no! I moved out here to be a rock star, Dan.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
No, but here's the thing: is my folks go, okay, that's fine, but if you want us to support you, you're going to have to go to college,
Right.
So I went to junior college for 2 years. That'd be fall of '85 to fall of '87, and then I enrolled in MI because they're still like, I'm like, well, hey, I'm still going to school.
Right.
My folks, and actually that program that year, I should say that class,
Mm-hmm.
they then installed the next 6 months, so it became a year-long program. Once I found that out, and I called my folks, I'm like, actually, Mom and Dad, they're adding another 6 months, and my folks are like, no, you're going back to college.
Yeah.
So I only got to go for 6 months.
And then which one did you go to first? Did you go to UCLA or did you go to Santa Monica?
I went to Santa Monica for the first 2 years, and then I went to MI, and then in the spring of '88, I went to UCLA.
I'm really curious because you studied political science. How has that helped you today? Because I feel that with my bachelor's, I'm like,
Well, I'm great at that. When I watch Jeopardy, I know a lot of things.
yeah.
Know a lot of answers when I watch Jeopardy. And I think that, there's politics in everything.
Right.
And I mean, not to be overly scholastic, but, politics is really the study of power and how it's used. And there's so many different fields of politics. I studied international relations because I was all into the Cold War and, Reagan and stuff. I was raised by Republicans. And so we were all into Ronald Reagan and all that stuff. I mean, of course, I look back and I've learned my lesson, but but yeah, I mean, it helps you. I think more than anything else, it helped me just understand power and people and relationships. I mean, those are those things. Although, I can tell you that I learned more about politics having to move to a new town every 2.5 to 3 years.
I can imagine.
Wow.
But I mean, I learned. But there's lots of great.
Everywhere is different.
There's lots of nuggets about politics that are great. I mean, but it's more for talking at a cocktail party. And It is funny too, because when I watch political shows, it's all so mundane to me. Because I mean, what's funny about American politics is that we think it's so diverse and so polarized. But Anna, as you know,
I'm sorry. I'm European. That's my excuse for anything.
I was just going to say, Americans don't realize this. It's that, our two sides are really just two sides of the middle.
Yeah.
It has to do with the way the system's constructed, but we're basically arguing over the middle. It looks like a huge bell curve. You know what I mean? Gosh, this doesn't have anything to do with entertainment, but it has to do with the idea.
This conversation is entertainment. No, I'm sorry. It's entertaining.
Well, no, it has to do with the fact that the system is constructed so that only two parties can flourish. Mm-hmm. Because you have, unlike Europe, right, where there's proportional representation, which is a big thing. This is the big difference. In Europe, if 10% of the people are Green Party people, then 10% of the House of Representatives would be Green Party people.
Right.
But it doesn't work like that in the U.S. In the U.S., you have to win a district. Mm-hmm. So if you win 49% and the other guy wins 51%, it's him and nobody else. It's called first past the post, winner take all system. And so what's funny is when you look, because I mean, in Italy's parliament there's 12 parties, and it really covers the entire political spectrum. There are fascists and socialists and communists and all this stuff. And in American politics, it's just more about two parties in the middle.
Right.
Speaking of classes, when did you start?
Yes.
Hey, when did you start taking
Perfect
vocal classes?
transition right there.
No,
You're
great.
welcome, Dan. You're welcome.
Okay.
I do it very slowly.
So which classes did you take for music?
Oh, at UCLA, none. See, this is the funny thing is that for me, it was two completely different tracks in my life. There was me, the guy that would go become a lawyer and work in politics, and there was me, the singer. And those two worlds really did not intermingle at all.
Somebody was telling me about that how Hollywood used to be back in the day. Like, it must be so different, right? Like,
yeah, it was a complete dump.
Nice.
Hey, we would have kegs out in the street. It was a crazy Animal House kind of time back then, you know.
I was just watching the Sunset Strip, the documentary, and I was like, man, I kind of wish I would have at least seen how it was, because it's so different nowadays.
Oh yeah, no, we used to go. I remember going up there with these two guys from Buffalo. They were like total metal guys. They wore like spandex pants and no shirts, with hairy chests and fringe boots. They would go have us stand with our cocktails next to the guy from Poison.
No way.
So,
wow.
Oh yeah. So now this is before Poison had a record deal, but they were big in L.A.
Yeah. And
we would all be hanging out at the Rainbow, and they would have us stand next to them so that they could run into us, and we would spill our drinks on them.
Okay.
And the two guys from Buffalo would be like, "Oh, dude, sorry. I hope I didn't mess up your pretty makeup."
I heard back before even Motley Crue got big, they were actually passing out their demos on Hollywood Boulevard.
Oh, yeah, man. No, listen, I was going to see a show at the Troubadour, waiting in line, and there was some clown in assless chaps handing out flyers for his show, for his band, and the band was called Hollywood Rose, and that was Axl Rose.
No
oh, wow.
way.
I saw him get the crap beat out of him at a party, too. That was a good time, man. But, L.A. back then was the hotbed. It was the place to be. Right. But a lot of that has to do with the fact that, there was no internet. Mm-hmm. A band in a small town like Ottawa, Illinois, couldn't get themselves known. Right. You had to go to L.A. or to New York,
Right. I've been told a lot lately that Nashville is actually becoming a great place for music. Have you heard anything about that? What do you think about that?
I think that there's a great click that's happening there with entertainment and songwriting. Most people that I know that are leaving LA go to Nashville.
So what has been your biggest challenge so far?
Biggest challenge where?
So far, and how you overcame it. In your life, in musicianship.
in your life.
Oh, well, I've told people this. I think I tell this in my Art of Success class, but it's, growing up, I clearly, as you can tell, I'm a guy with a sense of humor.
Yes, you are.
That's why everyone likes you.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Well, yes, of course. That
and other things.
and my stunning looks.
Of course. But and the seal.
And the seal. Yeah. Yes, my sexy poses. But I enjoyed being funny, and I was in all of these rock metal bands. And many of them, they want to be serious. They want to sit around with pouty faces. And it's all about whether evil or sticking it to the man or about being angry. And I'm not that way. I'm just not that way. And this stuck with me for a long time. I had my old roommate. He had a roommate. It was this guy named Drunk Mark. Okay. And Drunk Mark would go on a rant about people. And one day, in my absence, he was talking about me. He's like, Brian has to decide whether he wants to be funny or if he wants to rock.
Oh my God.
And we all had a great laugh at that. We're like, ha ha ha, it's funny.
Right.
But that stuck with me because I really thought that maybe that was a problem. That was my biggest problem, is that I couldn't be funny and I couldn't rock, Well, years later, when I finally had a chance to ask myself, what is it I've always wanted to do? Mm-hmm. I came up with Damn Hippie Freaks.
Oh, okay.
Which ended up being the project of my life. And
Nice.
what that band is a rock band that does, hard rock with lots of vocals, but it also has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
And so what's ironic is that the one thing that I thought was my greatest obstacle turned out to be the one thing that made me special.
Aw.
Well, we actually have a new challenge for you today. We are up to our segment, the Question of the Week. Question of the Week. So in this segment, we'll ask our interviewees a new question every week, and they have to think of the funniest answer that they can come up with. To our listeners, write in your questions on our Facebook at facebook.com/entertainmentdrivethru and our Twitter at eDriveThru, and we just might use it as the question of the week. Now, Hacksaw, are you ready?
Hold on. Yes, now I'm ready.
All right. So question is, my plan for world domination begins with what?
My quest for world domination begins with marijuana car fresheners. From there, I will begin to bend and mold people to my will.
You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of the episode in South Park where they use the Pikachu characters.
Chin Pokemon.
Yeah, when they use them to have world domination.
And then
Dan is just laughing.
That was good.
That was so good.
Oh man. Well, we've got to move on. But great answer.
So, what's been your best gig and your worst gig?
The best gig I ever did, it was on New Year's Eve in Guantanamo Bay for the troops.
No.
Wow.
You want to talk about a group of people that are so happy that you're there. One of my great stories comes from that gig. We're playing the New Year's gig, and we're playing for the enlisted people. And it was all arranged, like a good New Year's gig, where when it got close to midnight, we would stop, and they would do a little countdown. Mm-hmm. And there was a couple of DJs up in this balcony that were playing through just the house PA. Now, we had a huge rock and roll PA that we played through.
Right.
And so it comes that time, and they count it down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I was like, yay! And the DJs, they're playing Old Lang Syne, should old acquaintance be forgot. I'm like, cool, okay, cool. Well, they're going to play this, and we're going to start playing again. Well, they don't. After that gets done, the DJs put on "It's New Year's Day," that Stevie Wonder tune, So then I'm looking up at them and I'm making, the cut it sign. Like, cut it, man, dude. When you're done, I want to get back in. We want to start playing, right?
Right.
And they didn't. Then they played a third song.
No.
And now I'm getting pissed. Finally, they go and they play a fourth tune. And I turn around to the band and I go, what's the next song? Let's do it. The next song was Killing in the Name Of.
No.
Oh, nice.
By Rage Against the Machine.
That's
now,
awesome.
You've got to understand that we're playing for enlisted military people who all day long are told what to do.
Oh, my God.
So when it gets to the point where we start doing the "F you, I won't do what you tell me. F you, I won't do what you tell me. F you, I won't do what you tell me." It builds up and it builds up, and when it gets to the big part, it's like, "F you, I won't." Just fear just flies up in the air.
No.
And everyone
Nice.
goes ape. And while I'm singing it and they're going ape, I'm flipping off the guys in the balcony who's singing, "F you, I won't do what you tell me."
That's hilarious.
They know better than to come near me because they were just messing with us, man.
Right.
It was just a great thing to give them that night and to have a good time. Geez, now my worst show. Wow. Because bad.
He says this as he busts open the bottle.
I mean,
Yes.
Man, this was
so
such a
many
bad
forms.
show.
bad can come in so many forms. I think that there's one that will always be known as the Great Drunken Debacle.
I'm dying to hear this story already.
Yeah, where my guitar player and I, it was one of those things, we were living together and we didn't have money. This is a constant musician thing back in the day, you know. And
Still
on
is.
the day, at Starvin', and on the day of the gig, we both, for some reason, came into money. I don't know whether I got a check or he got a check, or we both had money. So before the show, we go out to Casa Vega, which is a lovely Mexican restaurant out in the valley. And so even though it was a gig night, we proceeded to get completely hammered and went to the show. And in the middle of the show, I fell off the stage backwards, such that, and my guitar player dropped his pick and couldn't even get up.
Oh, my.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and my buddy was outside because we did a song that involved a slide, I think. I think it was Dancing Days, made by Led Zeppelin. And he was blowing it so bad, my buddy came in and he goes, dude, I thought a cat was being strangled. So that was bad. It was really bad. That ended up in me. I believe I danced with a waitress in front of my girlfriend, and that did not go.
Oh, no.
So yeah, there's lots of those. You know, there's lots of drunken debacles. Always, also too, whenever people, a pet peeve of mine, and you know, as you guys know, I'm an easygoing guy. But what can really set me off is when somebody messes with my show.
Yeah,
Of course.
Then I just really lose my shit on people.
Oh,
so.
I've got a great story about mine when somebody tried to mess with me. I've never seen a guy so scared. I was about to sing karaoke, Bohemian Rhapsody, and he had been like getting in everybody's like set who were there, except for he was trying to get in mine, and I gave him the evilest of looks, so much that not only did he run out, but afterwards we were sitting and having drinks. He came back and apologized. And this is a dude in like this is in Vienna, Austria. I was like, yeah. And everybody was like bowing down to me. They're like, oh my God, how did you do that? All hail to Anna.
Yeah, well, you know.
Gave him the crazy eyes.
Yes, I gave him the crazy eyes.
You know, look, as musicians, you know, we work hard.
Yeah.
We work hard, and to just have somebody mess with your show, it's just.
You know, actually, sorry to cut you off. I think we have a name for that. It's the Hacksaw Seal look.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, the seal.
I strike a sexy pose every now and then.
You actually teach a class at MI that I took called Extreme Vocals, and Anna was telling me you have a book and DVD coming out called Extreme Vocals.
Yeah.
So my question is, for people that don't know, what are the various kinds of extreme vocals? Can you demonstrate a few of them, including the bathroom or toilet
That's
scream?
his favorite.
When you make a gravelly sound, well, okay, just start with, you know, clear vocal technique. You know, opera hand. It's going, right?
Yeah.
So you take that and you
Opera
add a little
man.
bit, just a little bit of compression to it, you know, this thing, which is basically the sound that you make if you make a buzzer sound or Frankenstein buzzer, or Frankenstein,
Right.
and that is, you see what I'm doing?
Nice.
It's just clean, and then you put this little bit of compression on it, and it makes these false chords flap against your vocal instrument. And that's gravel. And then if you flip it around, all the other stuff, the more, you know, quote unquote brutal stuff, is a much higher percentage of metal compression. In other words, when I'm doing gravel, like that's 90% just plain regular vocal technique with 10% compression.
That's kind of like the James Hetfield.
Right.
Yeah, we always do a bit called, you know, James Hetfield in the McDonald's drive-thru.
Right.
I'll take a number 4, super size. The other stuff, the more brutal stuff, is inverted. In other words, if you ever you do regular vocal technique, but you stop yourself. You go ha, and then you stop yourself, and you go ha. Okay, now you go ha. Right? Okay, now if you listen to that, you know, you can go and rewind and listen back.
Those reminds me of bathroom sounds.
For a brief second, there is this little gurgly sound. Now I'll slow it down.
Wow.
Now what that is
a really intense bathroom break.
Yes.
what that is,
That's what that is.
what that is, that I'm going from 100% compression where I'm just stopping it. And then I'm opening the door just a little bit, about 10, 15 to 20%. And that little gurgly sound is all those brutal things that you hear. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all the same mechanics behind classic vocal technique are still there. I'm just modulating this compression up and down.
Yeah.
So where you can even go, let's see. Now here's going to be the fancy one. Let's see if I can do it. I'll go from complete compression to the bathroom growly stuff, the gravel to clean. All right, you ready?
I'm excited. Come on.
Here we go. All right.
Nice. That deserves a clap.
That was a clap.
That is your whole range of extreme vocals there, done in about 12 seconds.
And now I'll hear Dan in the bathroom doing those sounds. Now that you've written a book, I have a question. What is your favorite book? If you could recommend one book to me, what would it be?
Nonfiction, I would still go back to a book by Dr. Wayne W. Dyer called When You See It, You'll Believe It.
Okay.
Oh, I love that book.
Yeah. And then for fiction, I'm a huge Kurt Vonnegut fan. I would suggest Breakfast of Champions, because I would joke that those books are actually about the same thing.
Really?
In a strange way, because what Kurt Vonnegut does with his characters, I mean, not to tell you the whole book or anything, but is that it shows you that everything is connected. In the Kurt Vonnegut books, they are hilariously connected.
Nice.
But it is about how all human interaction is connected and how everything that we do affects so much more than we think that it does. And then from a nonfiction standpoint, with You'll See It When You Believe It, that's basically very much the same thing. It's that we're all connected, and the power of your thoughts will control what it is you do, and what you do affects not only those around you, but it ripples out like a pebble in a pond.
Who are some of your favorite musicians out there, you know, who have been like the biggest inspirations?
David Bowie.
Okay.
Paul McCartney. David Bowie changes his image every 3 to 4 years, and yet has had a 40-year career. I mean, you have to understand how astounding that is.
Yeah.
When you look at how everyone else in the entertainment business has been like Ozzy. I mean, and God bless Ozzy, but Ozzy's just been Ozzy for 40 years. David Bowie changes what he does every 3 or 4 years, and yet the hits keep coming and the great songs keep coming and all that. So definitely Bowie, Peter Gabriel, who's pretty much for the very same reasons. Yeah. And I say McCartney, I don't know, the thing about the Beatles, you know, I always say about the Beatles is, you know, McCartney made them pop, Lennon made them cool.
Yeah.
Very true.
But I mean, if you fancy yourself a potential songwriter, go buy some Beatles and go buy all Paul McCartney's album.
We're down to the end of the interview, but where can our listeners reach you?
Oh gosh, you know, Anna, I need you for this.
I'll help you out. At least we have the Facebook, the Damn Hippie Freaks.
For now, you can find Damn Hippie Freaks on Facebook. You can find Deltanaut, which is DELTANAUT, like astronaut with a delta.
Nice.
And you can find me at Brian Williams. You can also email me at damnhippiefreaks_9@hotmail.com.
Well, thank you so much, Hacksaw. It's really been an honor to have you as a part of the show. For more information on Hacksaw and the podcast, go to www.entertainmentdrivethru.com and subscribe on iTunes. Like and follow us on our Facebook at facebook.com/entertainmentdrivethru and our Twitter and Instagram at eDriveThru.
Hi, I'm Rocks middle linebacker Brian Hacksaw Williams, and you are listening to Entertainment Drive-Thru.